So in Cameroon and around the continent are saying. We'll be back immediately after this. Once again, you are heartily welcome back to the program. If you are just joining us, you are on to the program Press Brief. And on this program, we focus on the newspapers. We start off this first part of the program with the Dawn newspaper. The Dawn newspaper for this morning report on Kupe Maninguba. The Southwest Public Independent Conciliator sensitizes Ngoti population at maiden visit to the town of Ngoti in Kupe Maninguba division. And audacious voices are flags of mentorship for women and girls. This was during her workshop session that took place in the coastal town of Limbe. Women late Vitalis Otia get read more on the Cameroonian film industry actor on page 12. And Kumba, GC in Kumba panic as GC superintendent car catches fire during examination session. That's okay. In Limbe talks of an NGO hands of the sanitary pads to women and girls in that locality of Fako division. We're taking you now to the next paper for this morning. That is the next publication for today, Lushu. It talks of Paul Atangaji creates a village in the Menua division of the West region, and in that said paper, qualification for World Cup of 2026 scheduled to take place in the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. It talks of the Lions, the Indomitable Lions, that are quite ready for their showdown with Angola. Repair newspaper for this morning talks of Republican institution. It says insubordination that gains at the summit of the state, making reference to the famous on high instruction of the head of state, known in French as Haute Instruction de le Chef de l'État. We move on to Sonora and the International Monetary Fund, who prescribe on acceleration of works or reconstruction works to be done at the National Refinery Company in Limbe, known in French as Sonara. Get read more on still. Repair newspaper. Le Messager of Pius Njawi reports on Cabral Libri, why the state declares war on Cabral Libri. Get read details on that on Le Messager for this morning. The MRC affair of Maurice Kamto, the paper reports on the point showcased by Barrister Tassa. We move on to Professor Rose Lekier with the paper report on the half fight against malaria that is gaining international steam. You want to find details on that said paper for this morning. And we move on to this other story there. Martinez Zogo affair talks of the remover of the injunction putting a seal on the corpse of Martinez Zogo is irreversible. That is what you can find on page 2 on Le Messager for this morning. We move on to Boya in the southwest region with the Post. The Post of late Francis Whitechair for this morning reports of International Monetary Fund IMF anticipates new disbursement, says Cameroon's economy is recovering, inflation declining. That is a report from the IMF captured by the Post. And long-awaited Boya Central Markets project materializes as the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Olanga Obam, inaugurates the set market facility in the town of Boya. We must be prepared for all tribulation. Follow Jehovah's way to be safe, according to Joel Kalu. Get details on that on the Post newspaper for this morning. We'll take you to Kumba with a scoop of Lawrence Esong. For this morning, it talks of the Scope 2024 Achievement Awards cross-section of our winners. In that said paper, CBC Health Services turning full circle despite several odds. We move on to the paper of Victor Cham for this morning. Municipal Update 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Go Lions, go Breeze. And in the paper went further to talk on the readiness of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Bamenda market fire incident. He says Minister Felix Mbayu, elite of the Northwest region, offers 75 million CFA francs to victims of the Bamenda fire incident that happened some months ago. Training of municipal police. Decentralization Minister salutes NASLA's readiness on that engagement. And Local Development Ministry stakeholders brainstorm on sustainable waste management. You want to find details on the page of Municipal Update for this morning. We move on to Eden, all the way from Limbe. Eden of late Chief Zhang Adumbo talks of after walloping Cape Verde 4-1 victory, Lions expected to roar again in Angola today. Bamenda main market fire victims to share 75.5 million CFA francs as largesse from the Northwest Elite Group and Southwest Region. Decentralization Minister inaugurates 2 giant projects in the towns of Tiko and Boya, respectively. At 50th ordinary session of Soweida, board salute management for significant strides make despite the odds. You want to find details on that story on page 3 of Eden newspaper for today. From Eden, we take you now to the Guardian Post of Christian Guy. Talks of at inauguration of Betwa Regional Hospital Center. PM John Kuti says quality, affordable healthcare, key pillar of government social action. That was the main message from the head of government yesterday in the town of Betwa. Mbamayo, please arrest notorious criminals, human bone traffickers. Get read more on that paper for today. We move on to Simalen International Airport. The paper report on gold bar worth over 33 million CFA francs seized from U.S. citizen. An editorial of the Guardian Post for this morning: voters registration in crisis Northwest Southwest regions. It says separatists should stop intimidating population. That is the editorial of the paper of Christian Guy, the Guardian Post for this morning. We move on to Nigeria with the Guardian. The Guardian report on piecemeal restructuring row as House reviews single 6-year tenure bill for failed attempt. Get to read more on that said paper as the Nigerian House of Parliament says they want 6 years mandate and 6 years mandate for the president and just once, and that of the governors in Nigeria. In battle, river lawmakers remain PDP party militants according to a special court that rule on that court judgment. We come back to Cameroon with Mutation of Thierry Diaga, a report on high cost of living, the ordeal without end. That is what the paper of Thierry Diaga all the way from Douala have for us at least story for this morning. Cameroon and Angola encounter, the paper reports on what should be expected in Rwanda this day. And we move on to something else this time around with Promi Hebdo. It talks of the financial sector, why national strategy is quite relevant. Get to read more on the take of the Minister of Finance, Paul Motaze. Climate change, the paper reports on alert to some major towns and cities in the country after the warning from the National Observatory Board on Climate Change and Weather, who says there will be a lot of floods this year in major towns and cities in the country. We wrap up this first part of the program with the last newspaper on our disposal for this morning. That is My Hospital. My Hospital reports on the Obala District Hospital, where corpses are now decomposing due to the failure of power in the Obala District Hospital in the central region of the Republic. We move on to the Monatele District Hospital, where the paper reports on this health facility who specializes in the training of health practitioners that is doing quite well. That was how we saw it on this first part of the program. But Nomo Muscle will be here with our reviewer seated here with us immediately after this. Once again, you're heartily welcome back to the second phase of the program. And joining me for the second phase is our reviewer for today. Our reviewer is the head of the PG News department here in High Television, as he himself is a PG newscaster. He's quite famous though. And with that, I say a big welcome to you, Calvin Wallang. You're heartily welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Larry. Good morning, wonderful viewers. And yeah, it's a privilege for me to be here this morning to look into the papers and try to review what the papers are carrying this morning.
And we are quite honored to have you.
The honor is shared.
Okay. All right. Right. Well, we write on with the Dawn. The Dawn for this morning talks of Kupe Maninguba, Southwest Public Independent Consulators sensitizes Nguti population at maiden visit. This was touring over the week and there in the town of Nguti. She explained to the population what the Office of the Public Independent is all about and what they should be expecting or be doing towards that when it comes to resolving of issues and other polemics in their locality.
This is, well, it's a laudable initiative, but I would say it's not time friendly.
All right.
Because the Public Independent Consulate, I believe, has been in office, if not for more than a year already.
2 years going.
You see, so, and if we are looking at the necessity of the office of the Public Independent Consulator being explained to the population, especially that of Nguti, are we trying to say for the past 2 years, the population of Nguti have not been able to use the office of the Public Independent Consulator because the whole idea of going to Nguti was to explain to them the use or the need or the purpose of this particular office. And if it's coming 2 years later on, it means for the past 2 years, the people of Nguti have been left out, and that equally is the story of so many localities in the southwest, across the southwest region, because most of the times I always criticize authorities. They limit their office just to the regional headquarters or the regional capital where they are based. Because I've always said several times when the governor goes out to open or launch a school year, it's always Limbe Boya, Limbe Boya, Limbe. I keep asking. So those in Kumba, those in Manfia, they're not in the southwest. Do they not deserve the governor to once in a while to pop up and say, okay, we've come to launch a school year probably in Kupe Maninguba, in Nguti, or in Bonge, or in these localities. Exactly. So I think these people too, well, this is a good one, but it's not time friendly.
All right, but she will argue with you that she has been across several areas, as we have been seeing her cross carpets in the region. Last time we saw her, that was in Tombe, and later on Bangem, moving on to Edinar, taking you to, I think, Manu, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory doesn't fail me. So, don't you think she deserves a little pat on the back?
That's why I started by saying it's a laudable initiative, but it's not time friendly.
Right.
Not particularly to Madame Dorothy, but to the office and to the general, to the system generally, because I wouldn't expect her to do more than the system has put in place. So it's not time friendly. That's what I was saying.
All right. Okay. We'll move away from the Public Independent Consulator office. We take you to GCE in Kumba in the southwest region, still precisely in the Meme division, where panic as superintendent's car catches fire during examination session over there at St. Francis College, Fiango, Kumba. We have a scenario. We are talking on Fiango, and Fiango has been notorious during this the wake of the armed conflict, and now we saw a superintendent, just a superintendent who just alighted from the vehicle, and within a little space of time, in the car is being ravaged by fire, where we haven't had the risk, the genesis of that inferno, but fingers have been pointed.
Not really. I think like what the Frenchman would say, it's a pli de peur que de mal.
Okay.
It's just panic, panic. I think it's, if you've had a car, there are instances that will cause the car to go on flame or to go up in flames, not necessarily pointing fingers at anyone. But I still want to point fingers, since we are in the business of pointing fingers. I want to point fingers at the car owner.
Okay.
For what reason? Because I followed this story, and in the explanation, he said when he stepped out of the car, he noticed smoke coming out of the car, and they tried to put down the flames.
With extinguisher?
No, he had no extinguisher. What they tried to, they used sand. He said, somebody said use sand, somebody said use water. They tried all these things before the car went up in complete flame. So this is why we come now to point accusing fingers at the vehicle owner. If they had a fire extinguisher, it would have been easily put out. So it's not all the time that we'll have to blame the state or blame the voices. Because looking at a story like this, everything will be pointing at the voices. We're talking about Fiango, we're talking about Kumba, we're talking about GCE.
Yeah.
But this is what we say, plus de peur que de mal. So
negligence.
Yeah, negligence. I'll put it that way.
All right, we talk on the third one. We see we mourn late actor Vitalis Otia. You still with the entertainment industry of Cameroon, and I believe you have had some encounter with the late Vitalis Otia. So, what kind of a person was he to some of us who are not in your industry, the other industry?
I don't think Pa Otia, like we fondly call him, was somebody only for those in the industry. Okay. I think producing or playing in movie roles or even in adverts, we've seen him feature in adverts. He was a great actor. It's unfortunate that we're in a country where they only acknowledge people when they are 6 feet gone.
Okay.
Because I don't think we've ever had the opportunity to sit like this and talk about Pa Vitalis for the wonderful work he has done in the entertainment industry. He was a former board chair of the Cameroon film industry.
Yeah.
So it's rather unfortunate. I really feel saddened and frustrated that we'll have to talk about him only after his demise. So we should equally learn from this, even though I think it's not going to be lesson enough. We've not learned from the previous experiences. There are artists that will only talk about them after they are dead, but we should learn to celebrate people who are still alive. We should learn to celebrate the good works of men. We should learn to throw flowers to people who can smell them, because dead bodies do not smell flowers. So we invite everyone to put an eye. This should equally be like an eye-opener to everyone, to always throw an eye on the entertainment industry. It should not be left to entertainers alone, like you're saying in your industry. No, it shouldn't be left to entertainers alone. Pa Vitalis acted in several movies, telling Cameroonian stories in the best ways possible. There's this series that was even on national television, and he acted it very well. So I think everyone must have watched that. So it was not only entertainers who were following this series and other movies that are everywhere that you can find on the internet and on other platforms. So
Netflix.
Exactly. I don't think it's on any of the movies that are on Netflix.
I think that of Cynthia Made, he featured it. The other movie of Cynthia Made.
Okay.
I've forgotten the title. He was there.
The movie is no longer on Netflix, so we're looking at how to refer people. Yes, the contract was short-lived.
Yeah.
So that's why I said we should be able to celebrate our own when they are still alive.
All right, and just to add, I had the opportunity of meeting him because he attended Bishop Rogan College. So a friend of mine asked me to come and support them in their move. So they were planning their bigger, I think 70th, if not 70th anniversary of the college for next year. Yeah. No, for this year, that was last year. For this year, so he invited me to come give my own support to them. And he was the MC there, and he made us to laugh a lot on the campus of...
an actor and a comedian too, because he did incarnate funny roles or hilarious performances that we should applaud and give him all his flowers. Unfortunately, we are doing that when he is no more. It's
sad, and may his gentle soul rest in peace. We move on to the satiric newspaper Le Popoli for this morning. The Popoli talks of the indomitable lions. He says Rififi in the lion's den in Rwanda. There you have the caricature of Siri Tulu, who happens to be the technical advisor number 2 to the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education, who says, Mr. Etofis, I ban you from looking at me like a black snake. And Etofis responds, and Mr. Tulu, on her instruction, I have been asked to look at you that way, and you are not boarding this jet. So that is the satiric representation there by Le Popoli. We are talking on the unending saga between the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education and the Cameroon Football Federation, FICAFOOT.
Like you said, the unending saga, we're all hoping that it ends someday. And what it really makes this thing complicated is because the information we have it's most of the times not factual.
Okay.
Yes, there are a lot of rumored information that we circulate on social media. Even there are times things that maybe the president of the Cameroon Football Federation did not say, or the people at the Ministry of Sports did not say, but some naysayers or people who do not like Cameroonians to be at peace will always use it, and when they send it online, angers flare and people say things. And at a certain point, I've always said this is how the system has planned Cameroon to be. It's easier. So they've taught us that it's easier to rule people when they are at loggerheads than when they are united. So I think that is what has been used for Cameroon for years now. They've always used this tactic to rule us, even when we should be celebrating the Indomitable Lions victory. Here we are saying that Eto'o went to the field, did not greet the minister was sitting while Eto'o was standing. So we focus more on
the trivialities.
Exactly. Instead of looking at what will unite us, what will bring us together on a common ground. And then at a certain point, we'll start saying, okay, it's because it's a minister squad that has won. They say, no, it's Eto'o's squad so Eto'o is angry now because the Lions have won. Eto'o. So that is how they've programmed us in this country to not be united, unfortunately.
Like BG, the famous artist from the Southwest, from the Anglophone region, says, life na programming. All right, we'll move on to something else with Le Messager for this morning. He says, Cabral Libri, why the state of Cameroon declares war on the gentleman Cabral Libri of the Cameroon National Reconciliation Party. As we saw, Paul Atangaji last time came out to say he's recognizing Robert Kona as the legal leader of the PCRN party, despite the court ruling on that said gentleman, Robert Kona, that he shouldn't have anything to do with that said party, PCRN. And many are saying, Cabral Libri stands a chance to change the status quo come 2025 general elections, as a gentleman who is just 45 is a friend to the now president of Senegal, who actually he was invited for the swearing in of the Senegalese president Diomaye Faye recently in Dakar. So why the paper is asking why the war declared on Cabral Libri, according to the text of Le Messager for this morning.
Yes, if you read that story digitally, you understand this. I'm sure this is a declaration by Honorable Cabral Libri, who is saying that maybe the state has seen the success already in the previous years, or the success on ground from the PCRN party, and they're trying to, like, let me use the words of the state, especially that of the Minister of Territorial Administration, that would say they're trying to destabilize the party. So it's just a good sign somehow that the ruling party is seeing the PCRN as a threat already, so they're trying to destabilize it with all these. And well, they say it's only a ripe fruit that will attract stones from passerby. So let's hope this ends well for Honorable Cabral Libri in the upcoming presidential elections. We're sure he's hopeful, and let's hope this doesn't destabilize his followers and sympathizers, and hope he is able to start a party maybe, or he will still stick to the PCRN and see how he can fix things with the founders of the party.
We're talking about the said party because this is a party most of us we didn't know about it. But when Cabral Libri came to the limelight, prior to the heels of the last general elections that took place in the country, that was where he brought a lot of visibility to this said party, because he opted for Parti Univers, and things didn't work out, and so he was absorbed by PCRN. We saw how he took PCRN from nothing to something, as he emerged third for the first time for a novice who is just coming into politics. Don't forget, he is a trained journalist who practices with Radio Sianto in Yaoundé, and this galvanizing enthusiasm that he possesses and the euphoria that came out that he incarnates during that period of time, and up to now it's actually something that marvels a lot of persons. And Paul Atangaji, on the other hand, isn't actually pleased with such persons.
You wouldn't say that the minister isn't pleased with
because
the minister.
if you go by his utterances and his actions, the way he does things and the way he the blunt way he puts it in his own words, and you might be tempted to see things with me.
Unfortunately, that is how the country and the system has made us look at it, as we are unable to decipher between institutions and persons. Yes, we are because people have been there for quite too long that we now get used to their names. That is, their name becomes synonymous to their office. In other countries, you will say the minister, but here you are used to that particular name. For example, I saw a video recently online where the police force came under criticism, saying that they were singing a song to the Director General or the
Inspector General of Police.
No, the Director General, I'm sure, of the National Security. Okay. That is Martin Bangangere. Yes, that they were singing a song in honor of the Director General instead of honoring the country or the police force on the National Day. So that is to tell you how we have we sometimes are unable to distinguish between personalities and persons, or personalities and persons, or institutions and their heads. So saying that the minister doesn't like, I think the minister has always been doing his job. Maybe he's doing his job with a wrong enthusiasm, or with an enthusiasm directed to the wrong direction. But I think I'll always say the minister has been doing his job
with her instruction from the head of state. And as one of our colleagues puts it, that if it may not steal the party politics.
He's the interior minister, so it's allowed, it's permitted for him to
not with
the national territory.
Not with such velocities and energy from him.
He's the minister of territorial administration, so he administers his powers in the entire territory. I hope so.
All right, to move away from Paul Atakanji's saga and the PCRON party, we talk on the ban placed on the corpse of late Martinez Zogo of Amplitude FM, whereby investigations are still unfolding, as it's getting to 2 years right now, and his corpse is still lying in one of the mortuaries in Yaoundé. And this ruling from one of the courts that says it's irreversible for the corpse to be touched, neither or for it to be buried. So you see, family members are in distress. Your relative is being killed under despicable circumstances, and you have been prevented from having your burial, funeral, or funeral program.
Unfortunately, the case of Martinez Zogo, 2 years later, we are still talking on this issue, and we've had suspects, even though some have been declared guilty already, and we are still on it. There have been some whistleblowers who have suspected or who have rumored that this particular issue is a score-settling game, that they're using, unfortunately, the case of Martinez Zogo to settle certain scores in their high ranks and in their offices. So we'll say this is he's just being a victim of circumstance. He is being used by, they say when two elephants fight, it is a grass that suffer. So it's an unfortunate situation, that especially with the family, they are unable to mourn the deceased. They are unable to mourn peacefully, even though they've cried justice for the past year. They've cried justice, that justice should be done. But unfortunately, it is like this, and we are in a country, we just have to wait for some other instructions, or very high instructions, to see what next to do.
All right, we move on to Professor Rose Leke. Professor Rose Leke says we want to eradicate malaria, not only in Cameroon but around the world. And she was recently recognized for her hard work towards the fight against malaria and other tropical diseases that are typical in Cameroon during a special international symposium over there, I think, in the United States of America.
The fight for malaria is a fight by everyone, a fight for everyone, a fight where everyone should be involved, and someone like this being recognized for taking the bull by the horn or for engaging in the fight against malaria, I think it's a laudable initiative that we should all applaud from various corners, and equally tell the story even louder for what she has done to help eradicate malaria, especially in Africa.
And Cameroon in particular.
Yeah, Cameroon in particular too. And I was looking at individual responsibilities too.
Sure.
To fight malaria. We're all taught in primary school how to fight
keep
malaria,
surroundings clean.
But unfortunately, the town of Boya will not let us. It's not helping us keep our surroundings clean, because we can all see heaps of garbages everywhere, all across the country, not just in Boya.
Yaoundé is a sad story.
Yeah, Douala as well, even in Bonamosadi, where you think it's rich people's quarter, in code, like we'll call it. But it's unfortunate that there are some real issues in this country that should be addressed. Sorry, I'm diverting from malaria now to...
No, of course. It boils down to malaria, because garbage heaps are constitutes of mosquitoes.
I keep asking myself, the energy we put behind the Indomitable Lions, behind the Football Federation of this country, that they failed in Ivory Coast, they failed at the World Cup, they should be sacked, they should be sanctioned. I keep asking myself, there are better people who should be sanctioned in this country, who should be fired, who should resign. Nobody is looking at them. And these people, their offices affect Cameroonians on a daily basis. I don't think football, we only talk about football when it's match day, like today. This is the only time we'll sit and be talking about football. Unfortunately, since Eto'o took over office, we're talking about football every day. But before now, we only talk about football when there is a match coming on, and it's just a game of emotions. We're looking at how it affects Cameroonians directly. We cannot really pinpoint on how, but look at maybe the electricity supply company in Cameroon. It affects Cameroonians from every part of the country on a daily basis. And no one is talking about firing probably the manager of NAO. No one is talking about firing the manager of maybe Camwater for their inability to supply water, especially to the denizens of Boya. No one is talking about firing the Director General of National Security, who has been unable to provide national ID cards to Cameroonians for more than 2 years now. No one is talking about that. We focus on
he is coming with something
How
new.
many years later? How many years later?
Better late than never, if you put it that way. Martin Bragagele is coming with is it 2 days, 48 hours
and
ID card.
It's in December, so from now to December,
And mine,
we are still being harassed.
Where's my ID card? Mine is lying somewhere there since 2021.
Exactly. So I'm saying if we should be firing people for their inability or for not doing their jobs, these are the people we should be looking at. The manager of NAO, the manager of maybe even Canter, because the internet is dancing up and down.
Merengue.
So these are all the people we should be looking at firing. Not football. Football is just a game of emotions.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We'll move on to the town of Boya with the publication of late Francis Wache. That is the post. The post for this morning says International Monetary Fund anticipates Cameroon new disbursement. Says Cameroon's economy is recovering. Inflation is declining, according to this report done by International Monetary Fund. How true is this IMF report? When we see the daily realities on ground, last time I went to, I took I think 15,000 francs to go buy some few items from the market. My shopping bag was just as 1/4, and my friend told me, if you joke, I take this empty bag, and I threw. I said that's 15,000. He was shocked. I said, so if you throw that thing, though, you are throwing a bag worth 15,000 CF in France. So how true is this report to you as an individual and someone who is facing the daily realities on inflation, and IMF comes to tell us that the economy is recovering, inflation is declining? Est-ce que c'est vrai?
Oui, c'est vrai. On document, Cameroon has always been doing great on documents. I've always made this joke saying that when you look at Cameroon from up, from the skies, from above, Cameroon is very beautiful. That is why most often when we pray, God doesn't really hear us, because the moment he sends his head down, he sees Cameroon is so beautiful from the sky. So on document, there are a lot of things that have been done. Like the price of a loaf of bread was reduced maybe from 150 to 125, I think. that
Kumba bread that I normally buy.
no, a loaf of French bread,
Okay.
not Kumba bread.
It's just another example. Kumba bread I normally buy 2 for 500 before taking it home to my mother in Limbe when I'm coming from from the universities. Now I think it's 3 for 1,000.
No, I was giving I wasn't talking about the price. Right? I was giving an
Okay.
example of what the
exactly.
minister does. The minister of trade.
Okay, look, my
Yes, what he usually does is undocument. A lot of things have been reduced. The price of a tray of egg is reduced on document. Every time he releases these communiques, and it ends only on Facebook and on national television where they do these press releases. But when you go to the market, it's something different. So I'm sure the IMF is looking at all these documents that the minister has sat with a syndicate of poultry farmers. They've reduced the price of a chicken.
Yeah.
They've reduced a tray of egg to 1,500, maybe 2,000. But when you go to the market, if you need to eat egg, you buy for at least 2,500 or 2,800. So, and even a loaf of bread, and even bottle of drink.
Yeah.
If you look at it on Facebook, but on the ministry's page, it's very affordable. But when you go now, everyone puts their own price to whatever they are selling. So, I think the IMF is looking at these documents, and Cameroon is doing very fine on document. But unfortunately, the reality on the ground that I've always criticized the Ministry of Trade, particularly, is this issue that they reduce some of these prices and it ends in offices. On the field is something else, and we have delegations, especially here in the Southwest, Boya to be precise. Because in Boya, individuals just sit and they put prices to things and they tag prices. They don't even look at the general market price. In Boya, every shop has its own price, and there is no price control. People sit in their office. You go to the regional delegation of trade. They are there in the office from morning to night. You ask, what are they really doing in the office? They are supposed to be control officers or inspectors who go on the field to check these prices. But unfortunately, Cameroon is doing well on paper.
I was talking with a brother who owns a provision store, and I was a customer came to buy, and he said this is the price, and I said, later on I said, but the minister said, he said, forget who is the minister, forget about that man. He said, well, give me capital. That I went and bought this thing with an exorbitant amount of money. You are telling me the minister.
There's no. I think there's something we forget to understand. Some shop owners or business people across the city of Boya, it's no lie that they buy these things at exorbitant prices, but they are greedy so much so that they want to make immediate gain. Okay. You can buy something for 500. Business will say, okay, you sell it for 600, but in Boya they will want to sell it for 1,000.
Oh, you can imagine.
So it's not as if the minister is probably saying that they should not make
around with the Boya Central Market that was recently inaugurated by the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Elanga Obam. The Post newspaper captions that as long-awaited Boya Central Market project materializes. That's the first phase 1 of that said project, where some 76 stalls were given, and close to 36 shops given to the Boya Central, to the Boya community as Boya Central Market, and construction funds came from the German Development Bank known as KfW or WKF, and via the Special Council Support Fund for Mutual Assistance, known in French as FECOM, and it's worth 605 million CFA francs. Why is
you will look at 605. You would think is a project. That is a budget for the whole project. Unfortunately, it's a budget for 76 open stores and 36 closed shops. That 605 million francs every. These are situations like where they will sell maybe a bag of cement at 50,000, things like that, and everyone sees this and know that you look at it and say this is fake. These guys are lying. But unfortunately, we're in a country where we will never do check and balance, we'll never do controls. Instead, we'll be happy that my uncle is a contractor of this thing. We are going to benefit from this contract Because if you look at what the infrastructure we have there at the Bitingi market or the Boya Central Market,
Yes.
and you compare it with 605 million francs, 605, not 605,000, 605 million francs CFA, you say they will have used that money instead to tar the road from from Mutengene to Boya.
Okay.
It would have been better. It would have helped business.
But with a kilometer of road in Cameroon, that costs quite a woofing sum of amount. Do you think that amount would have would have even crossed my 16?
It is well, Larry. Okay? But these two comes as a relief, a sigh of relief. Comes with a sigh of relief to the inhabitants of Boya, who have for so many years not had a befitting market. So we are hoping that when this project is finally completed, if it gets completed at some point, it will befit the town of Boya that is really fast growing, and it will hope it meets the population's needs and other needs of the country as well, because Boya now is like a hub that supplies to the entire country.
All right, so we cross over to Yaoundé with the Guardian Post of Christian Gard. The Guardian Post for today reports that Yaoundé International Airport gold bar worth 33 million CFA francs seized from U.S. citizen who was attempt to travel perhaps to the United States of America with a said gold bar.
Since it's a citizen of the United States of America, a lot of things are allowed. Somehow.
So you can siphon gold and you get go scot-free because you are a U.S. citizen?
Maybe you help me with the information. Was this seized?
Yeah, he was seized by the custom officials. Going out of the country. We have the scenario where we've seen Chinese nationals who pretended that their national had died, so they are transporting the corpse to China. But later on, it was discovered that those were gold in that coffin. So we had a scenario: capital flights leaving the country, resources being siphoned, and the common people, especially in the east region where we have gold and illegal. Now I don't want to put it illegal. We have this artisanal mining that is taking place where you see children don't go to school; they go just to go find gold or diamond, and this national comes and give them, let's say, 10,000 francs and takes the huge chunk of the set natural resources to their countries, making themselves rich and to the detriment of our nation.
You will look at it, see if maybe this is not verified. But I would say most of the times these things happen not completely without the assistance of some of our
administrators.
Maybe not administrators, but administrators will be too big.
Okay.
Some of those controllers or those at these checkpoints, and at times these seizures always come out to the news only when negotiations have not worked out well.
It's terrible.
Because there are days you hear that the bee in Idinao, they've seized these liters of illicit fuel
from Nigeria.
I keep asking myself, so how do these ones that we use in Boy, how do they get there? So,
until they are
at times they only seize when negotiations have gone south. So,
just like Bon Francois saga, I was in Yaoundé and these Bon Francois people, this is a barn, so they were selling Bon Francois, and one person, mais je pense que le ministre de Santé publique, il a déjà fait il a dit que le truc c'est pas bon. The other part responded, laisse le truc là, c'est parce qu'il n'est pas encore donné l'engombo. That it was because they didn't give the minister his own quarter of the Bon Francois, and Bon Francois is making rounds in Canada and in other nations, so you can imagine that's our country for us.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That most of the times when these things come out to the news like this, because negotiations did not go well, people did not give the settlement that they expected from them, and at times you're like, okay, first or we'll do what you want to do, and it ends up in the news. And after that, you 33 million francs award. So maybe, anyways, it's unfortunate our authorities do not report to us. So because we'll be interested to know finally what happened to the gold. Is it sold? Is it kept at the National
Treasury?
But unfortunately, our authorities do not report to us. We report to them instead.
All right, let's show some verify and something that we need to work on and change as a nation and as a people. We remain still with the guidance post this time around on yesterday's inauguration of the Betua Regional Hospital Center by the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Tivitian Guti, who says quality, affordable healthcare, key pillar to government social action. Those were the words of the Prime Minister, Joseph Tion Guti, yesterday at the Betua Regional Hospital Center.
Congratulations again to the state of Cameroon and to the government for trying to keep their word of universal health coverage by making available some of these health facilities across the country in regions like this is the Betua Regional Hospital. It's a modern facility.
Category 2.
Exactly. But for how long is it going to be a modern facility?
Okay.
We hope it's going to be equipped not just by having machines there, but the personnel. Because I'll take the case of the Boya Regional Hospital here. You have all the personnel, but today you want to go there, they will tell you that maybe the
dialysis machine is not functioning.
Apart from the dialysis machines, the machines might be there, but you will go, for example, you say you want to meet a bone doctor, they will tell you the bone doctor comes once a week.
Okay.
Then he's a state doctor that is recruited to work at this particular hospital, and you even go there, you wait as if people come from different towns. People will come from Kumba, they will stay there from 9 a.m. At times people come as early as 6 a.m. because they want to be first on the queue. You stay there until, and this guy turns up at about 5 p.m.
Can you imagine?
And he only turns up because maybe his colleague's friend or the colleague's wife has come there and he's not there. They are now calling that, hey, bro, my wife is there. You not go and check. And that's when he turns up. And 30 minutes later, he gives another appointment that come next week or come tomorrow.
It's quite
people have come all the way from Kumba. So it's good to have these facilities, but they should be working. They should be operational, and they should be people friendly, and they should be able to receive people. So congratulations again.
And we from the Northwest and Southwest regions, we as have been abandoned. The government is contractors are saying is due to the crisis, like the hospital over there in Boya and that of Bamenda that were abandoned ever since the eruption of the armed conflict in the rest of Northwest and Southwest region erupted in 2016. So we are hoping the said contractors and government should remember us as Lapirose, Omemabi, Wiyo. So this is, I think, region this time around with the Northwest elites who remembers Bamenda main market fire incident victim as they donated 75.5 million support, CFA France support to the victims for them to start off their life with the little amount of money, or let's not put it that way, but for it, the money to be shared evenly to all the victims. This was championed by the minister delegate at the Ministry of External Relations in charge of relations and corporation ties with the Commonwealth, Felix Mbayo.
Same actions are going to produce the same effects.
Okay.
Because when we start looking at, you look at it on the paper, it's 75 million francs here, you'll be like, wow, that's a huge sum of money. And when you go on the ground, you hear that, you hear maybe the traders will say, I received 25,000 francs.
we pray that shouldn't be the case. What can you do with 25,000 francs?
No, that has always been the case.
Okay.
We were here in Boya the other time, we had assistants, they were the minister of
territorial administration.
No, not even before. After the Minister of Territorial Administration came, he came with maybe his materials that he has always brought all the time. We understand that floods are natural disasters, but in Cameroon, we all know they are man-made.
Okay.
And it's like there's a budget for that. They have kept a budget that this year, again in Boya, there's going to be a flood or there are going to be runoffs from the mountain. When that time comes, take this money, go and buy mattresses and give those people. But we're looking at, there was this other assistance that came, that was delivered by the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family.
Okay.
Professor Marie Teresa. Yes, she
to
came
the victims of the Boya flash floods.
Yes. And there are people who live in places that you know that did not flood. There was no flood around it, but they received this assistance. And how much did they even receive? I think 15,000 or 50-something thousand.
Okay.
Something thereabout. And I know people who were not even victims. this thing came. At times these things you just hear that the minister is coming, give us a list.
Say write my name.
They will just fill in.
Say write my name.
And the real victims, because the minister came, I think almost a year later.
Yeah.
So most of this technician that he is. So today we are going to find out if some of these sayings are true or false, and today we are going to confirm if we have to call Rigobert Song back and sack him again, like So, but all the same, we wish the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon the best. We wish we are there for victory. We're supporting the Indomitable Lions, and everyone in Cameroon wants victory.
Yeah, and we are saying go Lions, go the players of the Cameroon national football team. Wallan Calvin, it was a pleasure having you on set.
The pleasure is shared. I feel honored to be here, and I hope I'll be able to do this some other time.
Of course, we will be knocking on your doors once again when you are a chance, as you are quite a busy man, and not only a journalist, but you are equally an